Hello, everybody. I hope you can hear me and you can see my screen. You are on Adapt by Z conference in a blockchain booth. We are starting our third conference day, and in 3 minutes, I will start the presentation. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are starting our third day at the blockchain booth and starting with it with the methodology presentation. For those who don't know myself, let me go to the presentation. I'm Sasha Petkevich. I'm EPAM blockchain lead, and today I will guide you through our EPAM methodology of blockchain discovery. First of all, I need to mention that blockchain discovery, or we are using the term book of work, is one of our accelerators and the tool we are using while delivering blockchain projects for the clients. That's especially useful where you have clients who are not entirely knowing what they want to do, who are not entirely sure that the blockchain is something for them or they properly selected the technology, where they don't have prior experience of working on a collaborational project or project where multiple parties are involved, where the budgets are small and the scope is MVP of something which is not very well defined. So in all those situations where from one point of view, there is an interest to start a project and there's an interest to do something, and there seems to be people who know what they want to do. And at the same time, there's no complete buy-in from the corporate stakeholders, where the budget is more innovation budget than the budget for the production project, and where everybody are not sure that it will work. So a lot of people calling that POC, MVP, something. And then everybody says that we need to understand what would be the real project. And here, that's the perfect situation to start the discovery. And everyone who were at a similar situation at the beginning, the person knows that it's very complex to work in such an atmosphere, because it seems to be that there is a desire to do something, but at the same time, there is no clarity. The communications are complex. Budgets are small to do something reasonable, and you constantly need to report of what are you doing or what are you going to do. Not the best situation for delivery team, but we were thinking about it a lot. We were facing those projects a lot, and we found a way to make it clear, simple, and create a communication tool for that. So the whole name of this is Book of Work, and I'm going to show you that. But let's look structurally to the situation which I just described. When we have a blockchain or DLT opportunity at a project, uh, there are always, there might be different case. There might be case with the strong cost benefits and then no doubts. We need just to implement that. And the value proposition is so clear and strong that there are not that much concerns of if we need to do that or not. And then that's the perfect case. You can start the implementation. You don't need discovery. And there are other situations where there is a weak cost benefit case and where most likely you don't need to do the blockchain. Those situations are also clear. It means that, okay, don't do that, don't spend money. But the real life is slightly more complex. In between those situations where is a clear yes and clear no, there's a normally huge gray area where that's probably yes, probably no, nobody knows. And the whole approach of how to find out if it's yes or no, well, if it's the try and fail or try to succeed approach, well, somewhere in like half of the cases, you will spend your money for nothing because, yeah, let's think it's 50% probability. But if you will do pre-discovery, if you will clarify your value proposition, if you will put some smaller effort, you might increase the clarity. And the gray zone where that's probably yes or probably no would appear significantly smaller than if we're not doing pre-discovery. And that's basically justification why we started to work on a tool I'm going to show you. And what you see on the screen right now is our methodology, how we typically deliver in blockchain projects. And logically, that starts from the use case clarification and validation workshop, where we're applying design thinking methodologies to work with the clients and to understand the content of the use case. What are they going to achieve with the solution? And normally, after this workshop, the business case is more or less clear. And the next step is to define a business network, is to understand what, when we're speaking about blockchain solutions, we're speaking about the solutions where there is the decentralized network. That means that there are nodes. Somebody should operate nodes, and this somebody, like those companies, should be motivated to operate those nodes. And the whole solution is operated by so-called business network. And this business network needs design. We need to understand, and that's independently if it's the foundation-led blockchain, if it's the community or consortia-led blockchain, it needs to be clear what would be the network. Who is motivated to create a solution? Who is actually participating in the creation of the solution? Is it like, are there multiple variants of the code possible? Do we allow that? Or can we dictate that? Because like in public solutions, there are like as many variants of the source code as you can imagine, like as developers are motivated to develop that. So it's really, are you under control of that or not? There are a lot of attributes of the network, of the business network you are building, and that's resides on top of the blockchain solutions. Basically, it's a foundation of the solution creation. We must understand roles, key players, and their motivation. And that's the second workshop. And normally the architects and the business are involved there because there's also the aspect of the technology selection, or actually requirements gathering for technology selection. And there's also the huge aspects of the business network design. And after this second workshop, we most likely have the majority materials to write a white paper of the solution. Basically, we know what it's going to be. We know the business background. We understand what main qualities we would like of the solution, basically what it should do. We know participants, we understand the network. And here, that's the first toll gate. We can start rapid prototyping. And it doesn't mean that we are creating the exact solution. No, we're creating minimal viable product, MVP. And it might be that for the real solution, you will need to throw that away. But you really need to create that if you would like to prove the technology, prove the concept, very important, prove the motivation. Majority of the projects are trying to build on MVP further. Means that if you're creating the proof of concept or MVP, you would like to drag that, you don't want to throw the money away. Experienced developers will tell you that it will happen anyway. With the speed of maturing or speed of evolution in a blockchain technology, in 3 years, your solution most likely will become obsolete. It will become ineffective. And in some cases, it still do, but the majority of the cases, no. And so there's always trade to throw that away after MVP and build everything from scratch, or to keep MVP, evolve that to the pilot, operate that for some time, then throw that away and rebuild that completely. But yeah, it's not for this point right now because it's much farther than go live situation. So after the third step, actually MVP and business plan for the ecosystem should be ready. Remember, on a step 2, we were designing a business case and we were designing business network. And after step 3, we actually have basics for this business network to work, like very, very basics, but accompanied with the plan how the network will develop itself. It's already something. That's already something enough to combine the whole information we have and come to the solution stakeholders and present that. And that's the main toll gate to request the funding for the real production product. And basically steps 1, 2, 3, and 4 are the key steps of the blockchain discovery. Actually, while you're building MVP, you can do in parallel several POCs when you need the technology proof. In some cases, you need to prove like the key operation, like the crypto part, especially when you're doing, the complex key infrastructure where you have the master key and the underlying keys where you would like to protect yourself from like lost or stolen keys, or where you need to prove some aspects of chain data storage. So there are technical concepts which might need a technology proof. They, in this case, they're doing in parallel the MVP creation on a step 3. And by step 4, you should be ready enough to articulate the business value, to refine your business case, and to have a solid ecosystem business plan. So good understanding who would be customers of your network, if there are such, who would be participants, who will maintain the nodes, how would be the operational manuals. All of this on a top level should be clear by this. And then the real delivery starts, and then everything real starts. But yeah, as you can see, the blue area, that's the scope of book of work. Let's look into that in the details. Use case investigation. As I already said, it starts with workshop. And that's very important on this workshop to have business representatives, people who would own the solution while it's in, like when it's in production, and people who are interested in bringing in this solution. In some cases, we're formulated differently, the people who feel pain, because like the whole project is to remediate something or to achieve certain benefits. And so the beneficiary, the party who will benefit the most, must be present in a workshop. You probably laugh while I'm mentioning that. But the common situation is when we are trying to schedule the workshops of the client is to send some technical people there. That's blockchain. And on the first workshop, we need business people. We need business owners who feel pain or who wants to improve something or would like to achieve something, because here we are discussing the business case. We're discussing the business part of the solution. We are trying to understand what and how should work. Normally, 1-day workshop is enough, and we do have methodology for that. We have like the scheduled workshop plans. We're using a lot of design thinking methodology, all those stickers, like positive atmosphere in the room. In some cases, it's very interesting what is coming out. At the same time, we're not only distilling the use case and trying to understand what would be actually minimal and still viable product. We also check. We are also doing doing, evaluation of the distilled use case. And this evaluation methodology, that belongs to the World Economic Forum. If you will go to World Economic Forum website and ask for the blockchain use case evaluation or blockchain decision making tree, you will get a sizable document which explains what questions needs to be answered. And that's very it's pretty much like a block schema for algorithm. It asks the questions and when answers either yes, either no, and that's either leads in a good blockchain use case, either says, well, I use something centralized for that, or it needs to be decentralized but at this stage, it's not possible to come to a solution because the parties who are involved have no chance to come to the certain mutual agreement. And okay, if you have it starts with the question, do you have multiple parties involved? And basically, yeah, that's what's pretty much true. You may be having multiple parties involved, but if they have no interest to talk to each other and that they have no chance to agree on something, it's not a good idea to build a solution for them. But when we passed this use case investigation and we concluded the suitable and feasible use case, we already and concluded basically business cases. So the business confirmed that they do see the value. Then we can continue with the next workshop and design business network. And here we still need people from the business. We also need business analysts, so product owners, business analysts, probably business owner, but we also need a solution architect and we need a corporate architects to understand how solution will fit the corporate landscape. And here the majority, that's another workshop, and that's a majority what we are discussing is the architecture aspects of a solution. How solution will fit in all types of the plans, like software landscape, like time planning of the company, like communication with other parties, like what is our ecosystem plan, how we are going to build the network, who would be participants of the network, are we able to motivate them, are they actually motivated, and are they reachable? And after that, that's probably some time for writing the white paper and requirements for MVP. The high-level requirements, like the product owner should be able to produce that. That's the step where we are shaping backlog first time. But the backlog for MVP, certainly. And then we are free to proceed to the actual development. And that's always starts with the network build. It's always start with the infrastructure provisioning. And normally for this type of the discovery, we are doing only one environment, development environment. Everybody has access to development environment because we need rapid prototyping. It's normally either 3 1-week sprints, either 2 double-week sprints. In some cases, it's smaller if it may be small. It might be like 2 sprints of development, like 1 week plus another week for the board presentation preparation and retrospective. So when delivery is done, and we are speaking about the MVP, and the product is normally very mature, it's usually it does 1 or 2 main things we would like to demonstrate, we think would be the core of our solution. And then we are ready to prepare, obviously, when that's the first blockchain project for the client, and normally development we're doing co-creation with the client. We're normally inviting client to develop with us, and we're teaching clients, which means that by the end of all those development sprints, the client is they didn't have before, they now have this certain experience, they have this certain feelings of maintaining blockchain network. They understand what is node, how to connect, what is a solution. Developers have experience of how to build that. Tech leads understand how to integrate that. It's enough time to try a lot of things. And it's also enough time to meet a lot of problems. If there's a mess in infrastructure, if technology is not suitable, if the version is wrong, if developers cannot manage that, we will know this. That's why it's called discovery. We will discover a lot of things here. And having all this experience, having working solution, having ecosystem roadmap, we should be able to prepare like what sales or investment pitch to the client stakeholders. Like, I mean, we are on a project, like we are doing discovery for certain stakeholders at the client, but they also have their bosses who are either paying money or not. So we are equipping client representatives we work with the solid package to upsell that within their company. And that's the key point here, because in a majority of just proof of concepts at the client, it's dying in a stage of POC. We did POC, concept is proven, but being not equipped with the roadmap, network design, business plan, it simply stays laying on the shelf because nobody can push it forward. A lot, like on the business side, there is a lot of unclarity, like a lot of misunderstanding. In some cases, a lot of speculations. You couldn't imagine what questions were had at the business owner's side, like on a board while presenting solutions. They were shooting to us saying, I read in the newspaper, but somebody lost the key and lost all their Bitcoin money. And you're looking at them saying, like, holy shit, like we are doing totally different solution. Nothing is Bitcoin. And if you're so stupid to lost your private key, that what can you say here? But in the majority of the cases, it's also educational exercise for the client. And this board presentation, that simplifies all relationships, and that's securing the further investment, and that's securing the project continuation. And then the final phase of the discovery can start, because when the board looked at that and said, oh, you can continue, tell me how much would it cost to build a production solution, we can spend some time also having the real experience of how to work with this client, how are their staff, how are their processes, where does it need improvement, to estimate well and to do well the pilot design and to do the proper estimation. It like the previous 4 stages, they equip us with enough information and enough creditability at the client to be able to create a high quality pilot design. And then we are ready to the stage gate to start the normal development. And that's basically the main content of our book of work. How does it look like? Like this. Every step is explaining who is participating, what are key activities, what are the key deliverables, what information we need from the client, how long is that. Yeah, for example, that's the description of the workshop. There's also like the separate methodology of how to run the workshop. There is like a workshop facilitation manual. But in terms of the book of work, it looks like this. And we have the step 2, where we are designing business network and actually guiding you through what needs to be defined for the good business network design. Here we do have the good connection of this particular asset with the reference architecture. Because all the assets we are creating, like all the accelerators we are creating, they're they're integrated with each other. When we're speaking about the QA, like QA asset has all the methodology how to create the deliverables which are mentioned in our delivery methodology. And the same here, it's perfectly matching all the components. So that explains what are the key activities of this phase. Duration is 5 working days, means 1 week. And we should the certain deliverables. Well, that's the meat of all of this. That's the creation of actually MVP. So there's a backlog, there's a test plan, there's an interface description, there's actually code being delivered, and the defect log, and there's a scalability plan, and there's like test data, test scripts, in some cases technical architecture means like infrastructure and all this stuff. There are quite some of people involved in that, but it actually saves you money. It's actually let you it's equip you to say no when it's no, and to say yes when it's definitely yes. That's discovers. We also defining how the board presentation should be, what should be in. We do have templates for that. And yeah, and the pilot design, probably the most interesting thing is how to estimate properly. And we are taking one sprint for the estimation. Yeah, the presentation part is the presentation part. You can see that there are ecosystem members. In case of we are building ecosystem solution, there is not only one client, there might be many clients, and the presentation may be done with them involved. A little bit for the people, like we still have 2 minutes, a little bit for people who are curious about the governance topic and about the business network design. There are several models we are using for business network design, like foundation-led, most easy understood for enterprises, consortium-based, where there are like founding members who are doing the development, who are involved in the development, and then when they're inviting other members and basically charging them. Community-based, normally public networks. And there are also hybrid models where there is like where the founding member, like founders, are creating new organization, and this new organization does the development and then inviting members. The project, like the Finality project we're delivering, is a good example of that. Like 15 banks created a new entity, and this entity is creating solution for them, and is going to operate the solution too. Joint venture, pretty much clear. And last but not least, all of you must be asking, how long does it take? Normally, it's less than 3 months. There is 1 week to do the first 2 workshops and to come up with the good strawman for the white paper and to understand the use cases. Then we need another week to scope POC. And normally in the middle of this week, we started to combine the delivery team and to do all the onboardings for delivery team. Then 4 weeks normally for the build, 2 sprints or 3 sprints. Then another week or 2, normally 1 week for the results and another week for the presentation, because it's not easy to schedule or something. And another 2 weeks for pilot estimation. That makes it. Well, that was Alexander Petkevich, Sasha Petkevich. I've been explaining our discovery methodology, our blockchain book of work. Thank you for the time. If you have any questions, join our community, shoot your questions, or just reach me at EPAM and ask. Thank you. Bye.